Hello again, fellow style explorers. I'm going to continue the series of discovering styles by searching for obscure words in the Midjourney Style Explorer search. We have yet again 5 very rarely used words that I had never even heard of before, and I'm sure you probably haven't either. As a reminder, Midjourney seems to update the styles quite often, and because of that, you may not see the exact same results when you search for the same words, but you should get pretty similar results, hopefully. I will share all the style codes that we discover in this video with you, so if you like any of them, you can write down the number to get your images to look like the style does. So, let's get started. Qualtagh, the first person you meet after leaving home, especially on New Year. The first word brings us an anime style. The eyes look quite similar in all of the styles. They're kind of angry or sinister looking, and preferred colour tones seem to be purple or burgundy. 303-573-6087. Looks like 50% old school anime, 50% photography from the 90s. Feels like there's a sepia filter on. 207-178-2489. Seems to be more colourful, and there's less photography appearing. I really like the landscape prompt. 340-282-9522. This one feels darker, seems to prefer burgundy and blue, and doesn't really have any green colour. 2807-339-281. Colours seem lighter. Faded purple seems to be present in all prompts. There's a lot more clutter in the images, and landscape looks gorgeous. 238-4225-568. Colour tone switches now toward orange and brown. Still feels like an old school anime. 3422957-654. This style is pink and favours emerald green. It looks kind of an anime-inspired illustration, rather than scenes from anime. 2602-821-860. Looks more like scenes from anime, except some of the prompts have came out like photography. 1421753-669. Feels like a way darker style. There's a lot of dark purple. Looks either like old school anime or vintage photography in some prompts. 876-891-888. Same thing. Half of the prompts have turned out like amateur photography, and half of the prompts look like old school anime with a very dark tint. Eucatastrophe. A sudden joyous turn of events. Tolkien's term. The styles don't feel too joyous to me. The portraits are very close up, and there seems to be a sinister or macabre undertone to the styles. 131-768-2770. Close-ups of all objects look spooky and kind of like a catastrophe with all the fire. Has a light orange tint to all images. 83-293-1738. This seems like a weird photography style, slightly surreal at that. People and objects are zoomed in to an uncomfortable extent. 14848-13774. Also somewhat surreal with the floating islands. Muted colours with a prevalence of grey, clouds and dark background. 322-919-8491. This feels strangely colourful and out of place with the other styles. Looks something between cartoon and illustration. 3232887114. I like this photographic style. It feels slightly Halloween-y and even cinematic. It seems to have dark vignettes around the edges of all the images. 530-725424. Feels straight up apocalyptic. It's some kind of a collage between photography and illustration. Again, quite surreal and really busy. 2543-796939. Very dark and eerie style, like something out of a horror movie. The lighting makes the subjects appear quite scary. 250-836-7887. There is an orange mist in the darkness, almost looking like fire, but not quite. It's quite a sinister-looking style. 13055698808. There is something really unsettling about this style. It's like the things in there are made of some kind of pink wax. Morosoph, a learned fool. These styles are quite a bit difficult to summarize together. Overall, they seem very colourful with bright colours. They're kind of messy, occasionally urban and graffiti-like. 16437944449. This style seems to be in the orange and turquoise colour scheme, occasionally photographic, other times like an illustration. There seems to be a lot of negative space around the subjects. 110-296-2573. A graffiti-like, very colourful sketch on a black background. Very chaotic, but good clean outlines, suitable for example t-shirt designs. 418-615-7960. Looks like a mixed media style, colourful, but with muted colours with lots of green and blue. A bit on the strange side. Looks like retro or very current time. 1810488-564. Very colourful, but missing red colour. Looks like illustration, slightly cartoony and has lots of tiny details. 137-4267-163. A graffiti sticker design style. Very urban, has nice outlines and edges. Colour palette is pink, turquoise, yellow and white. 346737-4385. Really yellow with splashes of pink, blue and orange. Looks mostly like an illustration, collage or actual composition. 727449-400. A weird illustration style with very vivid orange, pink and green on black or orange. Looks hand-drawn at times. 35898-32831. Kind of minimalist, almost 3D looking style with turquoise and orange colour scheme. 824-204908. Grungy, blurry retro photography with strangely pink and light yellow colour scheme and black vignettes around the images. Tmesis, inserting a word into another. Abso-bloomin'-lutely. There seems to be some words included in some of the styles. Common thread seems to be the muted colour scheme with a slight sepia tint, and messy curly hair on quite many of the young men in the portrait examples. 27042294423. Feels like slightly Asian-inspired, like pages out of a magazine with the text on the sides. Some of the edges also give it away, as if these are photographed or photocopied magazines. 762062-483. Slightly anime-like, except for the portrait image. Obviously a bit Asian-inspired as well. Subjects seem to be isolated on a white background. 229-303-3056. Again, anime-like, Asian-inspired, and subjects isolated on a white background. There's some red highlights in this one, and really tiny details. 3350-680-350. This initially felt like a chiaroscuro oil painting style, but now that I see the entire style, it looks like dark anime with subjects isolated on a black background. 188-5378-677. So Asian-inspired fantasy with slight hints of anime, very cluttered and maximalist style. There's an obviously anime character in the animal prompt that gave it away. 2969331195. I think this one has the most sepia tint. Mostly it looks like a retro photography style, but the last two prompts show clearly that this also is an anime style. 475 631 747. This feels like a combination of an anime style with an oil painting style. It's not clearly either, but it's both at the same time. Mostly sepia colour scheme. 33249 08355. Cute anime-like illustrations, or 3D real-life things with a slight anime or fantasy feel to them. And again, on a white background. 3789709035. Feels like pages out of a magazine again. Can't really place if the style is photography, illustration or handcrafted sculptures. Lacochezia, relief gained by swearing. Doesn't really look like swearing, more like very fashionable people and desert plants, or more specifically, aloe. The styles seem to vary between photography and painting or illustration. 3839 8938. The fashion seems a bit strange, but it's prevalent. There is some kind of darkening happening in the image, otherwise this would probably look too bright. Kind of a lot of clutter. 30896 43314. A bit more ordinary and less colourful. Obviously warm climate with the palm trees and dried grass. Colours look to be a bit muted. 308 470 9175. Still muted colours, but the orange highlights make the images feel more warm. Seems to be a 60s-inspired photographic style. 11069864. Feels bright, yet cold, and with slightly sad undertones. Not very colourful. Looks oversaturated a bit. 1529 955 600. Just a little bit surreal painted style. Seems to prefer coral pink, blue and emerald green and orange colour scheme. 12757 04739. A painted style with a 1930s or 1940s feel. More on the darker side, but orange seems to be a favoured colour. 1293 420 867. Almost photoreal painting style. Feels kind of retro, a bit darker colour scheme. There is colour, but the colours are not too bright. 363 112 0778. Looks like an 80s fashion editorial. Dark colours, kind of an unreal film set feel. 189635 7649. This style looks the most different from the other styles. It's bright, slightly muted colours, cartoony. All right, we have now wrapped up the second edition of looking up obscure words and discovering which styles come up when you search for them. Let me know what you thought about these styles. Would you like me to try out some better topics instead of just random obscure ones? I kind of like to be surprised by these, so I think I might be continuing this series occasionally, but still I plan on doing other types of videos as well. I thank you so much for watching, and even though I didn't prompt for this video, let's continue prompting.